Oh,
Hi friends, welcome to this week's class of Dead Funny University. I am your host and fellow student Kelsey, and joining us today is our typical normal teacher. He teaches almost all of our classes for our Zelda semester, and that is Chris. Chris, how are you doing today?
doing good, doing good. We need to like really with the audience one day and just have like JoJo in here for a class. It's like,
They've seen JoJo
you know what
before
I'm
for a
saying?
class.
I know. I'm talking about like during the Zelda semester. You know, like it's like we finish Majora and it's like the next game's like JoJo's does it, and it's like, wait, what the fuck just happened? I
But I
don't know how
want
much
JoJo to be
on it.
doing an impression of you. That's what would really make that
That would be
gold.
even better. Yeah,
He's got the
he's got to
hat,
yell.
like he's got to yell a lot.
He's got to have a tantrum about some video game company he can't stand, and then followed up with, "But I love Square Enix. Square Enix is amazing." So, you know,
I feel like he could do it. He could pull it off. He would be uncomfortable the entire time.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So where are we jumping off here today?
Okay, so we are giving me a quick second because I fucking
Ah,
I'm at so I a little behind the scenes for everybody. I do my folders, so I have my photos that I could send Kelsey so she could see as I'm explaining, and then we show that to you so you could see as I'm explaining. And for some reason, I didn't put an actual space between MM. I do MM and then the episode. So for MM for Majora's Mask, apparently every time I've done this, I've never done a space. And then the one time I correctly do a space, and now I can't find my fucking file, but I found it. We're good. Anyways, so moving on to the fourth and final temple. I'm excited for this one because I know you like puzzles,
I do.
and Zelda is very much about puzzles, and I don't think we've covered that too much in some of these temples, just because it wasn't really relevant with this one. I thought it'd be a little bit more of an interesting dive to kind of go into them because this temple is a pain in the ass, and there usually isn't a temple like this. Usually you always have your forest, you always have your fire, you have your water, and then a lot of the newer ones kind of been like a wind temple, to where this is a stone temple is what it's called, and it's out in the desert, which is great. Normally you have the stuff with the Gerudos, but in the newer Zeldas like Breath of the Wild, for instance, we have the new race, the Rudras, the
Mhm.
bird people. So you naturally win towers. Um, and they still stay with 4. That's just always Zelda's thing. So, but what's cool about this one is you use a lot of different elements, and we'll kind of go into that as we move through the tower. But to start us off here, we finished up with the water tower, and we're moving on, or I say tower temple. We're moving on to the stone temple, which is great. For those of you who have played Majora, because I know a couple of you have been messaging me, you know who you are. I have decided that I will be basically dedicating an episode, because a lot of people have been asking, what about this mask? What about this mask? I feel like we should do an episode where I'll show Kelsey all the masks, and then the ones that have the interesting side quests will go into those separately, all within one episode before we wrap up and go fight Majora. So that way, by
We're
the time we get to
gonna
Majora, you'll know all the masks.
we're gonna have to do that with pictures of all the different masks,
Yeah,
so that way we
yeah,
can.
absolutely, 100%.
Brilliant.
Yep. Nope. I plan on that one being a really cool, fun episode. So yeah, nope. I'm already on it.
Thank you in advance.
Um, so moving forward, we have the Stone Temple, as I said. So this is kind of a neat little outside glance at the Stone Temple as soon as you walk in, kind of what you're seeing. One of the things that I like is that you'll kind of see the stuff that's hanging there. In the actual game, that little thing that's hanging there is actually the pedestal that you teleport to whenever you beat the boss after you
Mhm.
talk to the giant. So with the fact that it's hanging there, and it's also hanging upside down, is kind of like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? Well, that's one of the puzzles in this temple, is that you can actually use a thing to flip the entire temple upside down and get to different places and shit like that. A lot of different puzzles you have to solve. You end up finding, I think it's called, or it's the light arrows. That's one of the weapons that we get in here. One of the new weapons is the light arrows, and you use those to shoot these specific gems that will rotate the entire temple. So that way you
Uh-huh.
can solve all the puzzles upside down, which is pretty cool. It's actually really nice in game because like you see all the clouds and shit moving underneath you whenever it's upside down. So
Oh,
it just
cool.
feels like you're gonna fall into nothingness. It's pretty cool.
Okay, so I got like 4 questions on this particular photo. Maybe not 4.
Go.
So it looks like there's something just kind of hanging there. Are those banners that are just being blown in the wind?
Hanging there.
So if you look to
Those
the
are
left of the
actual
face.
enemies. Those are actual enemies that are flying. They're like little
Oh.
dragon characters. Yeah.
Okay.
These are just still shots from the actual game. So you got like enemies flying there. Yeah.
And what we're looking at really looks like a face, and it looks a lot like
It
the
is.
face of the mask. And
Yeah. It's not
okay.
necessarily Majora's Mask, but it is a face. And yeah, the one eye is open, the other eye is closed, and it has like a little eye switch on it. You shoot that with an arrow, and that's gonna spawn a chest right there in the middle of the joke shot too. Not that that matters, but yeah, that's what you're looking at. It is a face.
Okay.
So in the stone area, desert, if you will. So normally we have the Gerudos, which we all know and love, the full female race. We kind of got something different in this game. They're called Garo, and they're kind of like these little bandits, and they're all throughout. And that mask is supposed to kind of like be like a fearful thing to people who are coming into what they consider to be, kind of like their headquarters. So that's supposed to like resemble the Garo master, whenever it actually doesn't. But that's what the normal Garos look like. Like they're little thief, little bandits running around with the 2 knives.
That
And
is
they attack you.
terrifying.
Right. And then at some point in the temple, whenever you go to fight a mini boss, and that's something that's cool about this temple, is it's the only temple in the game that actually has 2 mini bosses. The first one being the actual Garo master himself, where his swords are actually on fire.
Neat.
Yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. So yeah, so there's the Garos, but one of the cool aspects is this, as far as solving puzzles and stuff like that go in this actual temple, which I liked a lot, is that you have to use light to hit specific switches and stuff like that. And before you got the specific item, there would be like stones that have mirrors on them, and you could flip them around to make them hit, the light where you need it to go. Then you end up unlocking a chest, and the chest gives you this handy dandy little thing, which is called the mirror shield, with a very weird face in it.
Yeah, that feels
looks
like
it's
something's
in
trapped
agony.
there and in pain.
Just a little bit, but yeah,
God,
no,
fuck
it's
that
not.
noise.
But yeah, you can use that to then position the light wherever you want to by just pulling your block up and being able to shoot the light wherever you need it to go, which is pretty fucking cool. I'm not gonna
So
lie.
who's trapped
So
in this?
nobody. It literally is just the design they put on the shield. No one's trapped in there.
Jesus. Okay,
No.
great.
Yeah, it's just a design. That's all it is. Just a design. But so as you move through the temple, what I liked a lot about this one is that usually you get like these cool, like badass looks at the temple, and then inside it's all really like game mechanic-y as far as like hallways and this and that, and this and that. This actually has an inside to it, which also looks really fucking cool. So this is what the inside of the stone temple looks like.
Ooh.
Pretty sweet, which is leading you closer and closer towards the actual boss.
I like that the eyes are
So yeah.
flames. That's real neat.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, like I said, there's a couple cool little things here, but once you kind of dive a little bit deeper, we get to meet Gomez, which I thought was probably the worst name for a mini boss, especially one that looks this cool. In my opinion, it's probably the coolest one. But once you unlock the light arrows, you fight Gomez, and he is a Grim Reaper, and he has all these bats that fly around him and make up his body.
He is
Without them,
awesome.
right? But his name is Gomez, Gomess, Gomez.
Huh.
Yeah, I feel like they missed a mark there. But
A little bit.
yeah. So obviously the main thing with him is shooting the fucking orb in his stomach. But you can't do that because the bats are in the way. So you actually have to use the light arrows to scare the bats off, the blind bats.
Yeah.
You use the light arrows to
Yeah, that's a terrible narrative that's also factually inaccurate.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, which we knew I was going to mention. There's no way you're going to talk about
Oh,
Blatz being blind and not have me say something.
anytime I bring up an animal fact, Kelsey has, or I'm sorry, not an animal fact, anything about an animal, Kelsey has some sort of facts that are going to be following that almost instantly.
Yep. They can see just fine, people. Um,
Educate us, Kelsey, on
yeah,
bats.
we'll leave it there. They can see just fine, and I have so many more bat facts because I find them really cool. But we will not have a crazy tangent. But they can see just fine. I also like that Gomez has just the craziest of eyes. Like I zoomed in so I could see, and he's got
Right.
he's got chameleon eyes. He's got two pupils that are very tiny, going in different directions, and that's just fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
He's
Yeah, he's
cool. I
really
like
cool.
him.
Yeah, Gomez is cool.
I feel like you could get a beer
Um,
with him. You know.
I don't know about that, but hey, if it works out, hey, good for you. But yeah, so Gomez, which is our second boss, just said he's pretty cool. So you get, a little bit further to the temple, nothing else like really exciting goes on. Like I said, it's just kind of solving puzzles. That's the only things that we ever really got in here was, actually, one of the other things that was pretty cool is that in a lot of rooms you'll find switches, and that's always a thing in Zelda. Like you need to stand on a switch to open a door. Sometimes they're pressure plates, so you need to put like a box in the way. Da 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 da. What's cool about this is whenever you get here you learn a song called the Effigy of Emptiness, I believe is what it's called. And when you play it, it actually makes a statue of the soul of the mask that you're wearing. So it actually doesn't look like Link. It actually looks like a soul of the mask that you're wearing. What's really cool about them, though, is that like with the different switches, you actually have to be smart about which ones you're doing because like they might not weigh enough. So if it's like a huge fucking switch, you have to obviously switch into the Goron. The only thing that sucks about that is that it basically leaves the Deku one out. So the Deku one is basically useless because it's so fucking small. You can't actually hold down a switch.
Like the Goron one looks a little goofy. The Link one is terrifying.
Well,
There's Go ahead, sorry.
go ahead. No, go ahead. You're good.
So there's just I'm not commenting specifically on this, but I'm thinking of the different masks and then like the each
Mm-hmm.
of these four, and when you take them on off and put them on, and just the absolute agony and the clips associated with that,
Mm-hmm.
which are horrifying. And then you have
Mm-hmm.
shields like this where it's this still image of somebody that is absolutely in agony in some way. This person is either in mental or physical distress in to a great
Mm-hmm.
degree. There's a lot of these agonized images in this game,
Mm-hmm.
and I find that interesting, and I would love an
Right.
explanation for what they were trying to do and why they were so dedicated to making so many agonized images.
So what you got to remember is that Nintendo has never confirmed anything, and
Yeah.
they've never went into detail about any of this imagery,
Mhm.
which is let the fan theories. Which once again, that will be the last episode we do.
Yeah.
Is we're going to go through some of these fan theories, but a lot of what points to the Link being dead and being in the underworld and seeing all these terrifying images
Mhm.
are
Or
one of the
things like
hard
what I just
driving
described.
factors of that. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Of that theory. And anyways, there you go. There's a close up of
Don't like that. Do not like that. Nope. Mm-mm.
I was like, it doesn't even look like Link. It doesn't even look
No.
like him. Not
It looks
even
like
close.
you know how you make your little character on the Wii? It's like they made 3 different
The little
versions of
Mii's.
those. Yeah, the Mii's. They have the eyes from one of the original ones with the really big heads, and then as the software got better, as they like advanced that and they started making better ones, like it has more super detailed mouth, but it's a lot smaller, and so just it is multiple generations of me generation right there, and it's terrible. It's real bad.
Yep, it is
That's one you'd
terrifying.
throw
That
right
is
back
for
out and be
sure.
like, and nope.
Yep. So with our shield being able to, move the light where we need it to go, being able to play this song and drop these statues when we need to, and then on top of that, being able to flip the entire fucking temple is pretty cool as far as like going through and solving all these puzzles and stuff. Now, when playing this game, whether you are someone who's wanting to play the original or someone who's wanting to play the remake, there were a couple of differences that were done in this specific temple to make things easier. So in the original, there's this one room where you have to use these boxes to do the switch. And they're 2 boxes and they're actually breakable. And if you accidentally break one, you actually have to leave the room, wait a second, and then come back in so the boxes will respawn.
Respawn. Mhm.
Mm-hmm. They actually took that out in the remake and made a gigantic cement block that has Majora's mask on it. And you
Hmm.
could just use that instead, which is interesting. But the second one is actually a mask was changed. So as soon as you come into the temple, one of the first chests you open is what we call the Giant's Mask. and it tells you that you'll be able to use it in one certain room, and that's it. You don't know when it's going to happen, but one certain room. Obviously, you could think probably going to be for the boss.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
good
would think
guess.
so.
Pretty good guess. So when you use this mask, it makes you into a gigantic version of Kid Link. Then you have your shield, your sword, bows, arrows, whatever, and you can use it to fight what the boss is. In the DS version, or in the remake DS version, they actually changed that, which is actually very interesting to me. So instead of getting it as soon as you come in, you actually get it during the boss fight. So our
During. Huh.
Yep. So our boss is called Twin Mold, another terrible fucking name. But you see this gigantic red centipede looking sand serpent thing. The
Yeah.
blue one in the background is the same size. He's just obviously for depth there. He's
Further
smaller.
back.
Yeah, exactly. So they're both the same size, but in like I said, the original, you could just use your sword, shield, bow, arrow, whatever, and fight. And this one, they actually added these Majura looking eyeballs onto the belly of the blue one. And so you fight the blue one while the red one's constantly trying to kill you. You just ignore the red one, fight the blue one, and get all these eyeballs and kill it. And whenever you kill it, it then drops the chest that gives you the giant's mask to turn you into a giant to fight and finish off the red one.
Huh.
Another change that they made with that, which was also pretty interesting, is that you actually don't get to use any of your weapons because why would your weapons also grow with you? So
Mhm.
you actually just use bare fist and just fight like an actual giant would, picking up gigantic boulders around you and stuff like that, like an actual giant would fight, which I thought was
Mhm.
pretty cool. So
Interesting. Now, why I'm sure they didn't explain, but is there any explanation for these changes? Why they went through it? What they were thinking?
So, from what I was able to read, and once again, this is more rumors from people who somewhat worked on the game but didn't actually have like control over these changes, was that they wanted one a more realistic feel with the giant thing. They thought that the sword and shield growing with you was ridiculous.
I mean, that's
One,
fair.
which is fair. It's like the mask makes Link big. It doesn't make everything else go with him because it's like whenever you think about it, whenever you're a Goron, you don't use your ocarina, you use the Goron drums. Whenever you're a Deku, you use stuff that's in proportion with those characters. So they kind of want to do something like that. So instead of, giving him these massive fucking weapons, we're just going to make him use his fucking fist and stuff that's around him. Um, and then two, they thought for a mask that gave you so much power and that you could only use it in this one room, it made more sense to get it in this one room. So, because you literally never get to use this mask again. There's not another
Does it
situation
like
where you get to use
break
it.
or something?
No, it just is in your inventory. It just that this is the only gigantic boss that you fight. So
Hmm.
now it would be cool if you could like put it on and fucking, pop the moon in the fucking face and knock it back,
Yeah.
that'd be great. But that's probably why you can't, because then people would just be sitting there trying to fight the fucking moon the entire time. So
That would be
or
you. That would be you as
yeah,
Kid Link, gigantic, on top of a tower trying to punch the moon in the face. That would be
like
you.
why isn't this working? Fuck. So yeah, so you fight these, which is pretty cool. So then just to kind of give us a little bit of a refresher, I found this awesome picture that they had of all the bosses that we've gone through and fought so far. And once again, each one of them we've kept their face as a mask. We actually get a mask of their face when it's done. When the fight is done. You only get the red face from the fucking twin mold, by the way. But yeah, so all the bosses that we fought, once again, the Aztec Mayanish warrior, whatever we said that was, from the forest one, and then we had the bull from the snow one, we had the fish from the water one, and then twin mold from our stone temple, which is out in the desert.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, we fight them, we finish that, and then we once again get transported to go see another giant. What's cool about this one is that when we free it, I was trying to remember Tattle and Tail says we freed you, but you look sad, and the boss or the giant's like, well, he doesn't talk, but he just sings. But apparently, like she can understand him. I don't know. They didn't never explain that either. How she's just able to understand the fucking giant speak when it just sounds like fucking bravado notes. But whatever. Anyways, he basically says, call all four of us together when you will need us. Which it's funny because it's kind of like in the remake. I feel like they were poking fun at how dumb the aspect of this whole giant thing is, because like how would Link even know about these giants? Why are these giants trapped in these towers? Da
Mhm.
da da, all this other stuff. So literally Tell says it's almost like we know what to do without you even telling us, or something like that. And it just seems like it's kind of like a dig. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
That's what I thought when I played it up, or whenever I was looking at it, because I didn't play the actual remake. I was like, that's kind of funny. So, but he does say, make sure that you forgive your friend. Now, this is interesting because they've
Mm.
never actually talked further into this, because technically to Link, none of them are his friend.
Mhm.
Tell was a straight jackass to him the entire
Yeah.
time until she needed something from him. Tattle has done nothing but be stuck up Majura's ass. And technically, if we're thinking about it, Tattle and Tell are considered brother and sister. So you could think maybe that's who he's talking about. But there's also the aspect of like, he's saying it's not Skull Kid's fault, it's the mask fault.
Mhm.
So don't get mad at Skull Kid for what happened. The mask is taken over. So they, once again, they've never cleared that up. That's more of just up for the player to think on whether he's talking about Tattle or he's talking about Skull Kid. So that being said, I did find some cool artwork here of giants, which I thought
Oh,
were awesome.
wow. That's beautiful.
And then this one as well, which I thought was really, really cool looking, specifically from the desert.
Oh, neat.
You can see the link all the way far down there in the bottom left.
Oh, yeah. Teeny tiny right next to that tree. Holy
Mhm.
cow.
Yep. Um, but as soon what the hell? Sorry. Anyways, but as soon as you get through talking to the giant, you teleport out like always. But there's a different situation. We actually have another boss that pops up as soon as you teleport out. I saw that and I lost it because I mean, I'm currently watching Always Sunny again for like the umpteenth
I'm gonna
time.
say Danny
I,
DeVito is one of your
I
favorites.
love Danny DeVito. He's so fucking good. I love it. He makes me smile. I like Danny DeVito, and I saw that and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking great." But I don't think that I've actually ever showed you like an in-game picture of the Giants before. Um,
I don't think so, no.
that's what they look like. Very weird.
That's real funkety. Yeah, I don't like that.
Yep, that's what the Giants look like, by the way.
Don't like
Mhm.
that.
Very weird. Very, very weird. Yeah. But anyways, so we get obviously teleported out of the temple, and then from there we would be on our way to go fight Majura. Obviously, any side quests at this point that you have not finished, you want to make sure you go take care of that, because once you fight Majura, a lot of shit happens and there is no turning back at that point, which in my opinion is pretty cool. I like it when games do that, because then it gives you a chance to be like, all right, cool. Like, for people who need to be a little bit more structured, because you can get lost in a lot of these games with so many side quests and stuff. Zelda, not so much, because these are the older ones and it's not really that open world. Kind of like Breath of the Wild, there's a lot more open world. There's a lot more shit for you to do.
Mhm.
But still, it's just nice to be like, hey, at this point, you should make sure you take care of anything else you want to take care of. If you don't,
Yeah.
then you can just move on with the story. Um, but yeah, that being said, I did find a couple more interesting artwork pieces of Majura that I thought I would share with you while we kind of talk about our boy Majura here a little bit. So, what's interesting is, and you kind of brought it up with kind of like looking at the different imagery whenever it comes to people being in pain, da 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 da, and all that. Um, so when we go to get into these fan theories, a lot there's one game that we haven't gotten into, and I'm not going to go too far into it, but it does say this right off the bat, that Link feels that he's in an imaginary world. We'll talk about that further when we get into that game. But that being said, there is two theories that really hit hard here.
Mhm.
One of them is the fact that, like that we talked about, where either Link is dead, or the death theory is what they call it, because it kind of splits off. It's either one, Link is dead and hasn't come to terms with it yet, and this is him coming to terms with the fact that he's dead. Two, Navi is dead, and Link is going through the stages of grief. Or the other theory that I was going to talk about, Majora, with the way everything was played out, all the obstacles in Link's way matching perfectly up to what Majora needed on, that this world in general has been conjured by Majora.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting to me because of thinking like how much actual power Majora would have at that point. But at the same time, I mean, this dude can literally manipulate the fucking moon and just bring it directly into the earth with hardly anything but a scream. Because that's all he did at the beginning of the game, was just basically let out a scream at the moon and it started bringing it down. So we really don't understand the full potential that Majora himself actually does have, which I think is awesome. So just something to keep in mind as we get closer and closer. That third picture, though, I liked a lot because it shows him sitting on the different mask. Some of them we've talked about, some of them we haven't yet, but we will definitely go into them.
It looks like there's an adult Link mask in that.
So I'm glad you noticed that one. That is probably my favorite mask of all time. And on top of that is the most expensive statue made by Nintendo for Zelda fans out there. I was actually showing this to my girlfriend the other day because we were talking about the fact that since I've been doing this DFU with you, that I've been wanting to not necessarily look into Zelda collectibles so much, but I'm actually currently in the process of getting me a life-size Majora's Mask to put on my wall. I want to get an actual wooden full-made mask, and there's actually some of them out there that have been professionally done with actually lighting. So, like, the eyes actually turn on and they pulsate,
I'd
which
like
is
to
pretty
bring up the
fucking
fact
cool.
that that mask is fucking creepy.
I love that fucking mask. But anyways,
But it's
I'm not gonna
fucking
talk about
creepy.
I'm not gonna talk about that mask yet, the one down there. But that is the one that I've hinted at, that if you don't collect all the masks, you can't get that one. So you have to collect all the masks in order to obtain
Oh,
that one.
that's
And that one
okay.
you need. Yep. So we'll
Got
get to
it.
that. We'll get to that. That will be the next episode. If we get all the side quests and the mask done in one episode, which that's my plan, then it will be the episode after that. We will go into that mask. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm glad you pointed that out. That is probably, like I said, my favorite mask for sure. And on top of that, probably my favorite version of Link. Like, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't like to be that person where it's like, when you look at like superheroes, and nothing against anybody here, but it's like Batman's pretty basic. You know what I mean? Like, that's an easy go-to. Or like fucking
He's a
for
broody white
Marvel,
man. Of course he's basic.
oh, like, or if you go to like Marvel, like Captain America, like that's a pretty like that's the basic. Like
Yeah.
with me, it's always like the offset shit. Like Deadpool was like a fucking D-list villain whenever I first started liking
Mm-hmm.
him, or like whenever I watch like animes with like my buddies and stuff, I always get picked on because I pick like a random character that means nothing to the story, and it's like, that's my guy. That's my guy. Tony hates it. He jumps on my ass for it all the time. He's like, why? Fucking why?
Why
Like,
do you
this
do
dude's
this?
useless. Why? Exactly. So, um, this is probably the 100% other side of the spectrum of that.
I was gonna
This is
say,
probably everybody's favorite mask, everybody's favorite version of Link. Like, he's so fucking badass. So, but we'll get there.
you have two modes. You have I love the protagonist because he's the coolest badass piece of thing out there, and then you have the I like the random dude in the corner, and you're like nobody even knows his name. And
That's true.
I promise I'll let this go in just a second, but I'm still thinking about going to your house and you having one of that freaking mask, especially with lighting and eyes pulsating in your guest room. And I'm just letting you know, I'm gonna find it real hard to sleep in a
Oh,
room
oh.
with that on the wall. And if you've never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which I'm pretty sure you haven't, there's an entire episode all about people using masks they shouldn't have in their houses and the bad consequences that come out of it. So just think about it and don't put it in a guest room. Don't put it in any room I could sleep in is my request.
So, with the fact that obviously at some point, you'll be down here and fucking over here,
Mhm.
or up here, I guess I should say.
Who knows?
Yeah, I
One of the
guess for
directions.
maybe some direction,
I will
northeast, south, or
visit.
west. But at some point, and I think what I'm going to do is actually hide the mask, and then I'm going to have Scott get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning or some shit and like put it on, and then wake you up. That would be great.
Do you
I would
want my
rather do
husband to
that.
survive? Because
I mean, the
I
mask
like
is
what
made
you.
out of wood, so I think
Yes,
he'll be
his
fine. You, on the
body
other hand, might not be.
isn't.
Oh,
No,
that's true.
I'm gonna scream and I'm gonna start pummeling, and it's gonna be him that gets hurt. You're gonna
Oh
hear me
god.
like punch
Oh.
my husband in the neck.
I'd be like, Scott, I'll pay for all hospital bills, but you have to do
Yeah, I don't
this.
think Scott's gonna be down for that, to be totally
I
honest. I
don't think
feel
so
like his
either.
self-preservation instinct's gonna kick in, and he's gonna be like, dude, no, not worth it. Plus, there always then runs the risk of me returning that to him at some point, and he would not be down for
Oh,
that either.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, because I was first, whenever I thought about it, I was like, oh, it would be great to put it on and sneak in and scare Kelsey. But then I'm one of those big people that I like people to have a guest room because of privacy reasons. And that is a total breach of that barrier of privacy and trust. One. And two, I would feel awful if like I woke you up and you didn't get affected by it, but Scott woke up not knowing anything about this game, not knowing anything about this whole prank, and just being freaked the fuck out. I'm like, yeah, we can't go to Christmas
Oh,
anymore. So
no, we
that's why
couldn't
I was
hurt
like,
Scott like
I
that.
feel better if Scott did it. So,
Scott did it. Scott'll get punched in the throat. Gah, yeah,
oh
no, my
man,
reaction to that would very much be like, injure whatever is right next to me. There would be a
that's fair.
strong fight response, especially for reasons. But yeah, no, Scott would end up injured. And I don't want to hurt my husband like that. That's not part of our relationship. That would be terrible. And oh, yeah, I wouldn't recommend that, my dude. But, you know,
Yeah,
if you can talk Scott into it, he's going to be taking his life into his own hands at that point.
yeah, that's not my problem anymore. That's
I
not my
mean,
problem anymore.
technically not.
That's Scott at that point.
So,
So,
on the discussion of fear based domestic abuse, that will do it for our 17th episode of Zelda. Domestic abuse isn't funny. If you like this content, please
no, it's
like and
not.
subscribe. Turn on notifications so you know when to come to class. We also have Twitter and Twitch links down there in case you want to come hang out with us and interact with us on either of those platforms. We also have a merch link down there. Hugely helpful to us. No pressure if that's not what you feel like, but it is down there. At least check it out. Like,
It
wander
is.
through, see what
Check
we
it out.
got. And we will
Pretty
see you
cool.
in the next class of Dead Funny University. Bye, friends.